Good morning, everyone. Are we ready to go? Is everyone on that needs to be? I'm going to assume that's a yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherry Mead, Zoning Administrator for the City of Santa Rosa, and I'd like to call to order the December 15th, 2022 meeting of the Zoning Administrator. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54950, and it's 10:30. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, E, and the recommendation of the Sonoma County Health Officer, this meeting will be held via Zoom webinar. Members of the public can participate virtually at www.zoom.us/join or by calling in toll free 877-853-5257. In both cases, you will need the meeting ID number, which is 860-7495-6335. Members of the public accessing the meeting through Zoom can provide comments during the public comment periods. If you need additional information related to meeting participation, please visit www.srcity.org/zoning admin. The meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube at youtube.com/City of Santa Rosa. So the first thing we're going to do is open up public comment. This is a public comment period for anything that is not on today's agenda as a regularly scheduled item, but that is within the purview of the zoning administrator. So let's go ahead and open public comment for non-agenda items.
If you wish to make a public comment, you can do so by selecting the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're calling in, please press *9, and that'll enable the raise your hand feature.
Thank you, Recording Secretary Burr.
And I do not see any hands raised.
Great, let's go ahead and close the public comment period for non-agenda items and move on to item 3, which is zoning administrator business. This includes the zoning administrator statement of purpose, which I will read. The zoning administrator is appointed by the Planning and Economic Development Director and has the authority to conduct public hearings and to take action on applications for minor discretionary projects. Any determination or decision by the zoning administrator may be appealed to the Design Review Board, Cultural Heritage Board, Planning Commission, or City Council as applicable to the decision. So there are no zoning administrator reports or consent items today. So we're going to get to move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is our regularly scheduled items. The first item 5.1, is a residential fence conditional use permit for 2002 Clearview Circle. City file number is CUP 22- I have two numbers here. So it's either 22-064 or 044, and Sheila, our planner, will clarify that. And the presenting planner is Sheila Wolski.
If you could give me just a moment, I'm going to start the share screen mode.
Of course.
Okay, Zoning Administrator Meads, if you could let me know if you could see my PowerPoint presentation.
It looks beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. Let me move something around on my screen that's blocking something. Okay, great. So good morning, Zoning Administrator Meads. I'm Sheila Wolski with the city's Planning and Economic Development Department. The item before you is a residential fence located at 2002 Clearview Circle. The applicant and owner is requesting construction of a 6-foot-tall metal rail fence in the corner side setback area of his property. The fence would not extend to the intersection, so there are no sightline issues with this request. The reason for this hearing and the conditional use permit is that only a 36-inch tall fence is allowed in this area unless the conditional use permit is approved for greater height. Here's an aerial of the property. As you can see, it's bounded on 3 sides by streets. This slide provides you with neighborhood context, so you're able to see where this property is located in one of the Fountain Grove subdivisions. And there's a red pin on this slide identifying the property. The general plan and land use designation for this property are identified on this slide, and they are PD 72001L RC and low density residential. And it looks like I reversed those. So the zoning's on top and the general plan is on the bottom. The fence that's proposed in the corner side setback is a metal rail fence at 6 feet tall. Here's an example of what the fence would look like. The applicant is proposing the fence on the south ridge side of the property in the location identified in red marker on this slide. The reason for the additional fence height is to provide additional security to better define the backyard space, and as vines are proposed to be planted to grow on the fence to provide some privacy for residents while they're in the backyard. This project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under a Class 3 exemption, CEQA Guidelines Section 15303, which provides for the construction of small structures such as this fence. There are no unresolved issues as a result of staff review, and no public comments have been received after noticing was sent to residents within 600 feet of this site. It's recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve a minor conditional use permit to allow a 6 foot tall metal residential fence within the corner side setback at 2002 Clearview Circle. This concludes my report, and here's my contact information. It didn't look like anyone was calling in, so my email is swalski@srcity.org, and in case anyone just popped on and needs my phone number, it's 707-543-4705. The applicant and owner, Bahram Navi, I believe is in attendance today if there are any questions for him. And with that, I'll conclude this item.
Excellent. So just to clarify, the applicant does not have a presentation or want to say any words. They're just here if necessary. Perfect. Then let's go ahead and open up the public comment period for this item, and Recording Secretary Burr will provide instructions on how to participate.
If you wish to make a public comment, you can do so by selecting the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Zoning Administrator Meads, I do not see any hands raised.
Great. I just have a quick question that just popped into my mind. Are the lots adjacent to this property? Unfortunately, the aerial obviously is a site of a.
Sorry, can you officially close the public comment period?
Let's go ahead and close the public comment period. And now I will ask my questions. I'm wondering what the rebuild status is, and this may be a question for the applicant actually, and I apologize, I hadn't thought of this earlier. Are there homes around the area to where the notice was sent to people rather than just potentially open lots?
Yeah, this is Bahram Navi.
Hi.
Hi, and I thank you all for taking care of this issue for my family. And right now around the house, where the fence is gonna be, it is street. But on the south side of it, there is no construction at all. But on the left one, the house is completed. And the status of our construction at this time is that yesterday I received a temporary occupancy permit, and I have a list of the things that we should finish, like trees around the house, and in order to get the final permit to complete this project completely.
That's wonderful news. Congratulations. I'm sure it's been a long haul.
Thank you. Yeah, it is more than 5 years, 5 years and 2 months. And my family, I promised them to be able to bring them in before Christmas and New Year. And we have a schedule to move in next Thursday, December 22nd. And hopefully we are gonna celebrate a normal life, at least after 5 years, after the fire.
Well, that makes me super happy. So I'll just end this with kind of a maybe somewhat humorous thing. When I looked at the site plan originally, and I saw red metal fence, I at first thought, oh my gosh, are they going to paint the fence red? And then I realized, obviously, you were just indicating where the new fence would be. And I felt much better about that. So
Yes.
I will absolutely be approving this project. I totally understand wanting to have a little privacy in your backyard, and the lot is, bounded by 3 streets. So I will be very happy to approve this resolution I'll sign it once it comes across my desk. And congratulations and happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have iterated this issue, this comment many times so far. Whenever I have interacted with employee of, the city of Santa Rosa, I want to iterate it again here and let you all know that this project wouldn't be here with the help of so many people, that they worked very hard and they were very helpful to help us to get this project start and going to get to this point that we can move in now. And I am sure that I dealt only with few people, that they are in the front line. And this well-run machine wouldn't be only with few people. And I'm 100% sure there are so many other people behind the scene that I don't know, but I thank them so much.
I almost wish you were the last item and we could wrap up the year with your comments. You are such a wonderful person. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, I know I'm speaking for the entire city when we say congratulations and welcome home.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that's going to be a hard act to follow, item 5.2. I do want to mention that this I'm all choked up, so I apologize. The action is final unless an appeal is filed within the department within 10 calendar days of today's decision, which is, I think, December 26th. Yes, Monday, December 26th. So now we'll move on to item 5.2, which is a minor hillside development permit application for 5360 Stowe Circle. City file number is Hillside Development HDP 22-012. And Sheila Wolski is once again our presenting planner.
Okay, great. Thank you, Zoning Administrator Meads. Can you let me know if you could see my PowerPoint?
Yes, looks great. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Today, you'll be considering the Seward Residence Minor Hillside Development Permit application at 5360 Stowe Circle. I'm sorry, that last one was, I don't get it together.
It's why we do our jobs. So I totally understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. This slide details the extent of the project, which includes construction of a new 2,557 square foot single-story dwelling, a new 515 square foot garage, and a 465 square foot art studio and workshop. This is also a rebuild within the Resilient City Combining District, expanding the original footprint of the home. The original home was 2,315 square feet. The zoning of the parcel is OSC Resilient City, and the general plan land use designation is very low density residential. To give you an idea of where the parcel is located, it's in the northeast quadrant of the city off Calistoga Road and Hoyle Drive. It's a large property at almost 13 acres. This is a unique property and how it interacts with the neighborhood. I wanted to share this slide to give you some context. This is a rebuild of a home that was lost in the 2020 glass fire. Here's some street views of the conditions pre-fire, and you can see what it looked like. The previous home was 2 stories and was most visible at the start of Stowe Circle. You could see that I've outlined it in green. The proposed home is only 1 story. At the driveway entrance to the property, you'll see that you can barely see what was once a 2-story home. Here's a photo that was taken last month. As you can see, Some of the screening and backdrop of vegetation has survived. And this slide shows the slope analysis. The project is proposing development of the home and accessory structures on slopes that are 10% or less. Here's a site plan. I've outlined the project components in green. At the top is the proposed carport. In the middle is the proposed home. And at the bottom is the art studio and workshop. Here are some elevations of the home. It's a single-story plan with a contemporary design that's low profile with varying roof lines. As you can see here, you can see those varying roof lines when you look at the west elevation at the bottom of this slide. And it will be 15 feet at its highest elevation. The next two slides demonstrate how the accessory structures are consistent in design, and in this case, how the carport meets the covered parking requirements for the residents. This is the art studio and workshop. Both the carport and art studio workshop are both under 16 feet tall and comply with the hillside development standards for setbacks. This slide depicts the required findings that must be made in order to approve a hillside development permit, and all of these findings have been made. This project is exempt from CEQA under a Class 2 exemption, CEQA guidelines sections Class 3, 15303, A and E, which provide for the exemption of structures such as single-family dwellings and accessory structures. There are no unresolved issues as a result of staff review, and no comments have been received after this project was noticed to residents within 600 feet of the site. It's recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve by resolution a minor hillside development permit to allow the construction of a 2,557 square foot single family dwelling, a new 515 square foot garage, and a 465 square foot art studio and workshop at 5360 Stowe Circle. And this concludes my report. This is my contact information, swalski@srcity.org or 707-543-4705. That concludes my report, and I believe Daniel Byrne may be here from Hogan Land Services, who's the applicant for this project, if there are any questions of him, but he does not have a presentation.
Okay, great. Thanks for that presentation, Planner Wolski. Let's go ahead and open up a public comment period for this item, and Recording Secretary Burr will once again provide instructions.
If you wish to make a public comment, you can do so by selecting the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Zoning Administrator Means, I don't see any hands raised.
Great. Let's go ahead and close that public comment period, and I will just move on to the questions that I had when I looked at this proposal. First, I want to say that I appreciate how the roof lines are angled to complement the slope of the hillside, and that the home and accessory structure are both low profile. I was wondering if there are any tree removals proposed with this. It was heartbreaking to see the before and after pictures, but I do see that there are some trees left on the lot, and I'm just wondering, Planner Wolski, if that is a consideration.
Yes, Zoning Administrator Meads, there was no tree inventory done. I did visit the site and noticed that in the area where the proposed construction is planned to take place, it's pretty empty there, unfortunately, but I can add a condition to this resolution if it's approved, that any trees that may need to be removed as a result of construction would be subject to the tree ordinance, the city's tree ordinance. And
that sounds perfectly adequate to cover that, just in case. And hopefully there'll be future growth on that site, because it was so lush and beautiful prior to the fire. So again, I will be approving this. I'll sign that resolution with that added condition. This project is wonderful and welcomed as we rebuild from these devastating fires that we've had. Please note this action is final unless an appeal is filed with the department within 10 calendar days of today's decision, which would be Monday, December 26, 2022. So thank you for that. Our last item of the day and year is item 5.3, a minor landmark alteration permit for a new garage at 212 Benton Street. File number is LMA 22-011, and the presenting planner is Sheila Wolski. Again, thank you.
Okay, again, if zoning administrator meets, if you can confirm that, oh wait, yes, that is the right one, that you can see the PowerPoint presentation for this item.
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. So the item before you today is a minor landmark alteration permit application for the property located at 212 Benton Street. The applicants are proposing a new 400 square foot garage with a 408 square foot accessory dwelling unit located above the garage. The total height of the garage and ADU, which is how I would refer to an accessory dwelling unit, would be 20 feet tall. The project is proposed at the front of the property, and I'll discuss a little more about why this is being requested. The reason we're here today is that although the garage is considered an accessory structure, it's visible from the public right-of-way and therefore subject to minor landmark alteration permit process. The ADU is exempt from entitlements per state law. This aerial view shows you where the property is located in the Ridgeway Historic Neighborhood. And this is a more zoomed in view of the property. I'd like to point out why this property is so unique. The primary home, which is visible back here, is located over 80 feet behind the front property line. The parcel is narrow and long, and this is in part why the applicant is proposing the garage and ADU at the front of the property. This map reflects the general plan land use designation and zoning district, which are low density residential and R318H respectively, and the parcel is outlined in blue. Here's the site plan, which shows you the proposed configuration of the garage and ADU. Again, the existing home is located in the rear of the property. So here's the existing home. Actually, this shows it at 86 feet behind the front property line. And this is where the garage on the bottom plus ADU on the top would be located. And this is where the porch would be. The ADU is proposed to be set back 15 feet from the front property line, and the porch element would be a little over 12 feet setback. Here are the proposed elevations. The north elevation on the left side of the screen is what would be facing Benton Street. The garage would be on the first floor, and as you can see, the facade has been designed to resemble the appearance of the first story of a home. The garage door would be facing the interior side setback and is shown in the west or right elevation. Here are two more elevations showing the south elevation, which will face the primary home, and the east or left elevation, which will face an interior side setback. The setbacks meet the requirements for the zoning district and for accessory structures and for accessory dwelling units. This slide shows the floor plans for both the garage and ADU. Again, the ADU is proposed at 408 square feet and the garage is proposed at 400 square feet. In order to demonstrate the uniqueness of the property, here's the street view image of 212 Benton Street. The property line is actually right here. So where you see this detached garage and white vehicle, all of this belongs to the property on the right. There is no fence in between these two properties. And you can just see the primary house in the back. The proposed garage and ADU would be located approximately here, 15-foot setback, and this gravel driveway would be paved to the garage door entrance. The project would also provide required covered parking for the residents where currently there is none. So while this project is not considered for planning review as the primary home, it would effectively engage with the street as a primary home would. This is a zoom view of the portion of the primary home that is somewhat visible from Benton Street. This project received concept design review before the Cultural Heritage Board on May 18th, 2022. Here are some of the considerations and non-binding comments that the Cultural Heritage Board forwarded to the applicant. The project should incorporate similar but slightly different lap siding to differentiate between the primary historic home and the new structure. Incorporate wood frame and trim around the windows. Consider moving the ADU and garage closer to the primary home and providing a greater front setback. There was also discussion about doing each element separately as one-story structures, an ADU at 1 story and the garage at 1 story in separate locations on the parcel. And 1 or 2 of the commissioners were more interested in a bungalow design for this project. In response, the proposed project would incorporate horizontal lap siding similar to the primary home. Instead of the 5-inch siding that's on the primary home, the applicant is proposing a 6 1/4 inch siding to differentiate between the age of the historic structure and the proposed project. The applicant has provided wood framing and wood trim around the windows as requested. The applicant has moved this project closer to the home by 5 feet to a 15-foot setback. This project was proposed to the Cultural Heritage Board at a 10-foot setback. The applicant worked with planning staff to determine existing primary home setbacks in the neighborhood, which were typically 15 feet or less, and incorporated porches. Given the 2-story nature of the project, a 15-foot setback was determined to be more appropriate than the originally proposed 10-foot setback. The applicant is proceeding with the 2-story design of the project versus proposing a single-story garage and single-story ADU. The purpose of stacking the garage and ADU was to leave space in the middle of the property to preserve what will serve as a yard and play space for the family. And as the applicant conveyed to the Cultural Heritage Board, they're hoping to fill the void at the front of the property with a structure that engages with the street as a typical home would, and as their primary home does not. The height proposed is 7 feet under the maximum allowed for a garage with ADU above at 20 feet versus the maximum allowed 27 feet. And as I mentioned before, 1 or 2 Cultural Heritage Board members indicated a preference for a bungalow design. However, the applicants have provided a historic resource project evaluation from a licensed architect to demonstrate how the design is consistent with historic district aesthetics and massing. This slide includes the conclusion of the historic resource project evaluation prepared by architect Mark Perry and included in the agenda packet materials. It references other 2-story residences in the district and how the project is consistent with the scale, materiality, and basic style of the district. Mr. Perry included 3 additional design recommendations since this project was reviewed by the Cultural Heritage Board, and those are also included in this slide. These design recommendations have been incorporated into the project design. These recommendations serve to improve the appearance of the porch element, windows and doors, and are responsive to the Cultural Heritage Board's comments regarding elevated window trim. These are the findings that are required and have been made to approve a landmark, in this case, a minor landmark alteration permit. The proposed project has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and qualifies for a Class 3 exemption under CEQA guidelines sections 15303 A and E, in that the project consists of new construction of small structures, including an accessory dwelling unit and an accessory structure, in this case, a garage. There are no unresolved issues as of staff review. And actually, I'll make a little note to that. And no public comments have been received after this project was noticed to residents within 6 feet or 600 feet, excuse me, of the project site. I think zoning administrator Meads, we were going to revise the condition for hours of construction to something more suitable for a residential neighborhood, and that would be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, 9 to 5. I've checked with the applicant and they're okay with that change in condition. It is recommended by the Planning and Economic Development Department that the zoning administrator approve a minor landmark alteration permit to allow the construction of a new garage and accessory dwelling unit at 212 Benton Street. Here's my contact information. Again, my name is Sheila Walsky. My email is swalsky@srcity.org and phone number is 707-543-4705. This concludes my report. I did notice that the applicant and homeowner, Ben Williams, was in the audience. At the start of this presentation, I had not yet seen if the architect Mark Perry had joined us. And they do not have a presentation. Oh wait, I do see Mark Perry is here, so that's great. But they are here for questions.
Can I comment?
I'm sorry?
Would it be good for me to make a comment?
Oh, you can absolutely, we'll consider it part of a presentation. Feel free.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just wanted to qualify. I am a historic architect and preservation architect, according to the Secretary of the Interior standards, federally qualified as such. Lived in that neighborhood for, I've been going in that neighborhood all my life. I bought my house. The residence from my aunt down at the end of Benton Street sold it over the last summer. The building works. I was actually rather surprised at how well it works when I first saw the plans. I'm looking for, as an architectural historical historian, the integrity of the district, not particular projects. That really is the important point, is that additions to the neighborhood maintain the fabric, the sense of scale, materiality, etc. While I am sensitive to the Cultural Heritage Board's concerns and recommendations about the separating the garage and the building, I do not think in this case that is actually a superior solution. That although that would give the Cultural Heritage Board authority over the garage, they don't have review authority over the ADU according to state legislature. It has to be sensitive. I see that it has been sensitive. And I guess I'm actually just kind of disagree with the board members that suggested 2 buildings on the site would be more effective. I actually do not think they would. And this unit surprised me at how effective it actually worked in the district. There are probably 4 or 5 other 2-story units similar to this. One of them is one of the most historic, and they've emulated that. So I surprised myself to be so supportive of this, but I am.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that added little impromptu presentation very much. And it looks like the applicant also has their hand raised. If they want to be considered part of the presentation, they're very welcome to do so. Recording Secretary Burr, can you let the applicant know how to unmute?
Absolutely. So I gave you permissions to unmute yourself. You should be able to just click on the mic to unmute.
Do you see where that is, Mr. Williams? There should be a somewhere in your square or rectangle, I guess I should say, right? Is that where they would see it? Recording Secretary Burr?
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry
there you
about
go.
that.
Hey, no,
Thank
that's
you.
okay, Mr. Williams. Go right
I just
ahead.
wanted to say thank you to everybody that's been involved in this project. It's been a 2-year experience with permit process, and we're very grateful for everyone's help and anxious to get this project built. And like Mark Perry said, we chose this design because we really wanted something bespoke for the neighborhood and the home. I really feel like we've gotten there after some serious time. So yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone involved, especially to Sheila. Thanks for working with us, and Mark, and everybody else that's really helping us out. So we're excited to be at this point, and just want to say thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Well, that sounds like the conclusion of the presentation. So let's go ahead and open this item up for public comment. If anybody would like to comment, Recording Secretary Burr will let you know how.
If you wish to make a public comment, you could do so by selecting the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Zoning Administrator Meads, I don't see any hands raised at this time.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the thorough presentation, Planner Wolski. I appreciate how you did clarify that the ADU is not subject to this review. It is simply the garage. Can we go back to slide 4, which provides an aerial view of Benton Street and Ripley?
Yes. Give me just one moment.
And I will say, not that I'm claiming to be an architectural historian, but I do have a fondness for historic preservation, that I agree personally that I think that utilizing a 2-story design is much better. So I'm wondering if you can maybe give us an idea in this view where, in comparison to the 2 neighboring properties, this will sit on.
Yes, Zoning Administrator Meads, if you would like me to do that.
Just a quick idea. Would you
Sure.
say it's similar to, closer to the street, or further back even?
Yeah, it will be approximately where this one is. Actually, I did a whole list of setbacks for this neighborhood, but it will be in keeping with these properties. This is a corner side setback. This one's right at the street.
Right.
But it will be in keeping with the other homes in the neighborhood. I think I did a survey of, Mark, I sent you the list of about 15 homes in the neighborhood so we could kind of work towards a better setback.
Yeah, there were at least 15 homes at exactly the 15 to 15.3, and 3 on this block were at the 15 feet. 4 on the previous block, the preceding Benton Street block. So I think at least 3. I know it lines up fairly close with the building next door. It just kind of fills in to the left of the driveway to within about where you see those trees line up. That's about 10 feet off the property line. So
Perfect.
it's just in line with, consistent with 30 or 40% of the buildings around it.
And that's what I just wanted to put that out there. That was the impression I had too, because when I first looked at the project, I thought, gosh, why don't they move it back more? Just for aesthetic reasons, but I also understand wanting to keep that open area for whatever use they decide to do in the future. And since it is as proposed, consistent with several other homes and the 2 right next to it, I don't see any reason. And the Cultural Heritage Board obviously didn't mandate that they make that change. It was just a suggestion, and they already did some in response to that. So With that said, I will be happy to approve this project, and I'll sign that revised resolution to the construction hours that you mentioned, Planner Wolski. So please note that this action is final unless an appeal is filed with the department within 10 calendar days of today's decision, which is Monday, December 26, 2022. So that concludes today's business, and this meeting is now adjourned. Happy holidays, and I'll see everyone in 2023.